also reported their numbers yesterday. There was a jump of 65% in the company's top line. But first, let's talk about the visa business, which is the mainstay of the company. Shikhar Aggarwal, chairman of BLS International, is now with us on the show. Shikhar, thank you very much for joining in. So let's start with BLS International first. And in that, wanted to understand on the visa services, because your visa revenues have fallen 10% quarter on quarter and are up just 3% on a year-on-year basis, despite December being a seasonally strong quarter. So can you explain that? And what can you guide?
Actually, if you see our December quarter, seasonally, the volumes that we have achieved is lesser. So, for example, you've done around 9 lakh volumes in December quarter compared to last quarter where we did around 10 lakh applications. Year on year, if you see our net revenue has actually increased by 60%. So we did 7 lakh applications last year in December quarter, and this year we've done 9 lakh applications. The net revenue has increased by 60%. And if you see our EBITDA year on year has increased by more than 77%. So we have seen a good growth in the visa business, both from organic and the acquisitions that we did of iData and Citizenship Invest. Those numbers have also started to come in from the third quarter.
Can you explain the volume drop seen on a quarter-on-quarter basis, 9 lakh versus 10 lakh? Is it that we've seen the momentum in travel fade a bit? And what are the early indications of Q4 in terms of the number of applications? Will Q4 volumes be better than Q3 volumes?
See, normally, every year Q3 volumes are a little lesser because there's a winter season in Europe, festive holidays in India and other countries around the world. So normally December and January are lesser volumes, but volumes start coming in from February, March. So definitely, we are seeing volumes coming back, from February onwards, and going forward, quarter one, we see good volumes coming back. So definitely, if you see, we have achieved 30% EBITDA margins compared to 20% last year. And we have seen a major growth in terms of consolidated revenue and profitability of the company. So definitely, we see the momentum continuing.
Shikhar, two questions. First, end of FY25, where will you end in terms of revenue, EBITDA margin and PAT compared to FY24? And second question is, on a sequential basis, while revenues have grown significantly, there has been a significant margin compression as well. What is the reason for that, and can it bounce back in Q4?
Correct. So if you see on a 9-month basis, we have done a 444 crore of EBITDA compared to 255 crores 9-month last year. And that has been a significant jump of 80% in EBITDA. And if you see, margins have grown from 20% last year to 30% this year. Quarter on quarter, there has been a small dip in margins, from 33% to 30%. But going forward, we expect to maintain those margins. The reason being, in BLS e-Services, the company that we acquired, RD Phillips Loan Solutions, that's a high revenue company, but the margins are lesser, around 4 to 5% margins that we do in that RD Phillips Loan Solution, since it's a loan distribution business. So that is why on a consolidated level, if you see, our margins have a little bit come less. But if you see only in visa business, our margins have actually increased. Last quarter, our margins were at 36%, but now it's 37%. So definitely there has been an increase in margin in the visa business.
Okay, yes, there has been a margin increase in the visa business, but it's just in the digital business, e-services, you explained that's on account of the acquisition of Edifidelis, excuse me if I've got the pronunciation right. So in Q3, the contribution of the acquired entity, the margins were 4.4%. How do you expect that to scale up?
See, in BLS e-Services now we are at a 12.9% EBITDA margin level. As we only got 1 month of revenue of that company, that is why probably going forward, our target is to maintain the margins. As this business, you get per application revenue, but compared to what you get abroad is much lesser in India. So margins are lesser in this business, but volume is growing, and profits are growing. So we want to maintain the margins that we have achieved in this business. Obviously, going forward, as more revenue comes from RD Phillips, there will be a little bit pressure on the margin percentage, but profitability as a whole will definitely grow.
Okay, Shikhar, thank you so much for joining us, giving us a sense of how exactly the quarter panned out, both for Q3, for BLS International, as well as BLS e-Services. Well, some very important information on your screen. Remember, the AMFI data as far as the month gone by was concerned was due yesterday. It got delayed to today. And as you can see on the screen, there has been a moderation as far as net equity inflow is concerned. On a month-on-month basis, the large cap fund flow has been higher on a month-on-month basis, but the net equity inflow, that number has moderated. The most important number that the street will look forward to will be the monthly inflow number as far as the SIP is concerned, the systematic income plan. And in that particular number, remember, we've kept a run rate well in excess of 20,000 crore. And whether there is any dip over there on account of market correction is something that the street will be eagerly awaiting and watching out for. That number will come out a little later when AMFI arranges a media conference call. But time now for a short break. We'll get you more on the markets on the other side.